Mother Yashoda binds Lord Krishna. One day, when Mother Yashoda saw that all of the maid servants were already engaged, she personally began to churn the yogurt, and while doing so, she composed songs about Krishna's childhood pastimes and enjoyed singing them to herself. Dressed in a saffron yellow sari with a belt tied around her full hips, Mother Yashoda worked hard so that her whole body shook and her bangles and earrings tinkled. Because of intense love for her child, her breasts were wet with milk. Her beautiful face was wet with perspiration and malti flowers fell from her hair. Vaishnav Toshini of Sanatan Goswami states that this took place on the Deepavali day. Among all of the Nand Maharaj's cow, Yashoda kept several that ate only special grass that would flavor the milk to make it very tasty. Mother Yashoda personally churned the yogurt from this milk into butter, for she thought that Krishna was stealing butter from others' house because he did not like that which was ordinarily prepared. It was formerly the custom that if someone wanted to remember something constantly, he would make a poem about it, or else this or else have this done by a professional poet. Yashoda did not want to forget Krishna's pastime at any time, and so she composed songs that she would sing while churning butter. This should be the practice of all persons who are eager to remain in Krishna consciousness 24 hours a day. While Mother Yashoda was churning butter, Lord Krishna appeared before her, desiring to drink the milk from her breast. Being hungry, Krishna caught hold of the churning rod to prevent his mother from churning further. Mother Yashoda happily embraced Krishna and then taking him upon her lap, she pushed the nipple of her breast into his mouth. Because of intense love, milk flowed from her breast, and while Krishna sucked the milk, she enjoyed seeing the beauty of his face. Suddenly Mother Yashoda saw that the milk on the stove was boiling over, and so she immediately put her child down and quickly went to attend it. Krishna had not yet drank milk to his satisfaction, however, and so he became very angry at being left like this. While biting his reddish lips with his teeth and with false tears in his eyes, Krishna picked up a stone and broke the pot of yogurt. He then went to a nearby room and began to eat all of the freshly churned butter in that solitary place. After taking the milk off the stove, when Mother Yashoda returned to finish her churning, she saw that the pot of yogurt was broken and Krishna was not there. Thus she naturally concluded that it was Krishna who had performed this mischief, and she smiled, thinking how he had fled in a fear of punishment. Mother Yashoda was able to find Krishna by following his butter-smeared footprints. She found him sitting on an overturned wooden grinder motor, and he was distributing butter and yogurt to the monkeys as he liked. Because he had stolen these, Krishna was looking around in great anxiety, and so Mother Yashoda cautiously approached him from behind. However, Krishna could see his mother coming stick in hand, and so he quickly got down from the motor and ran, as if he were very afraid. Mother Yashoda gave chase, but because of her heavy breast and thin waist, she had to reduce her speed somewhat. As Yashoda quickly ran behind Krishna, her hair loosened and the flowers that decorated her head fell to the ground. Still, she did not fail to catch Krishna, whom even great yogis fail to attain after performing very severe austerities. When he was caught, Krishna began to cry, and as he rubbed his eyes with his hands, he smeared the black ointment decorating his eyes mixed with his tears all over his face. Yashoda caught Krishna by the hand, and he admitted that he had been an offender, but as she looked upon his beautiful face, she felt he had become overly afraid, and so she threw her stick away. Mother Yashoda did not really want to punish her son, so she simply rebuked him by saying, "I am going to tie you up so that you cannot commit any more offenses. Thus, for the time being, you will not be able to play with your friends." Mother Yashoda did not want to bind Krishna to punish him. She merely wanted to curb his restlessness for the time being, and she did not want him to run away out of fear. Because of maternal affection for Krishna, Mother Yashoda never cared to understand his actual position. Even great demigods fear Krishna, and yet Krishna became afraid of Mother Yashoda. Then she held a stick in her hand. When Mother Yashoda tried to bind Krishna, she found that the rope was 2 fingers width too short. Mother Yashoda brought another rope and joined it with the first. But once again, when she tried to tie the knot, it was still 2 fingers width short. Indeed, again and again she brought more and more rope, and each and every time she joined them, they were too short. Finally, there was no more rope remaining in her house, and all of the neighboring ladies were gathered there, watching the fun. Even Mother Yashoda was smiling, for everyone was truly astonished. Because of her hard labor, Yashoda's body was covered with perspiration. When, when child Krishna saw that his mother had become so tired, he became merciful and agreed to be bound. This is an attribute of the Supreme Lord. Even though he is the supreme controller of the entire universe, he still comes under the control of his devotees. After binding Krishna to the grinding mortar, Mother Yashoda returned to her household affairs. In front of him, Krishna could see the twin trees known as Yamalarjuna, which in a former millennium had been demigod sons of Kuvera. In their former birth, these two brothers, Nal Kuvera and Manigriva, had been extremely opulent, but because of false pride, they did not care for anyone. So Narad Muni had cursed them to become trees. Maharaj Parikshit wanted to know what abominable thing the sons of Kuvera had done that made Narad so angry and cursed them. In response, Shukdev Goswami related the following ancient history. Being great devotees of Lord Shiva, the two sons of Kuvera had become his personal associate, and they were very proud of this. Being permitted to roam in the gardens surrounding Mount Kailash on the banks of Mandakini river, they used to drink a kind of liquor called Varuni. In the association of many women, they wandered in the gardens, their eyes always rolling in intoxication. Within the water of the Mandakini Ganga, which was filled with lotus flowers, the sons of Kuvera enjoyed the company of young girls. By chance, the great Devarshi Narad happened to pass by, and by looking at the sons of Kuvera, we could understand the situation very well. Because they were naked, when the young demigod girls saw Narad, they became very ashamed. Being afraid of his curse, they quickly covered their bodies with their clothes. The sons of Kuvera were not ashamed, however, and without caring of Narad, they remained naked. Upon seeing the two sons of Kuvera naked and intoxicated, not only by wine but by false prestige, Narad decided to award them a special curse as a manifestation of his mercy. Narad Muni said, amongst all the attractions of material enjoyment, the attraction of wealth bewilders one's intelligence more than having beautiful bodily features, taking birth in an aristocratic family, and being learned. When one is uneducated but falsely proud of his wealth, he, his uses, he uses his money to enjoy wine, women, and gambling. Rascals who are falsely proud of their wealth and aristocratic birth are so cruel that for the sake of their perishable bodies, they kill poor animals without mercy. Indeed, sometimes they kill animals simply for entertainment. One may be very proud of his body, thinking himself to be a very important man, a president, or a demigod, but whatever he may be, after death that body will transform into worms, stool, or ashes. To whom does this body actually belong? After all, it is produced from material nature, and after death it once again merges into the elements. Therefore, it is the common property of everyone. Who else then but a rascal would maintain his body by the sinful act of killing animals? Fools who are proud of their wealth can never see things as they are. Therefore, returning to poverty is the proper treatment to restore their vision of reality. A poverty-stricken man can at least realize the miseries of material existence and so not wish such a painful condition for others. One who had been pricked by a pin knows the pain of others who are being pin-pricked. Realizing that such pain is the same for everyone, he does not want others to suffer in that way. But one who has never been pricked by a pin cannot understand this. A poverty-stricken man has to work hard to maintain himself, and he becomes satisfied with whatever comes by the mercy of Providence. His austere life actually purifies him and frees him of false pride and false ego. Being hungry for want of sufficient food, the poor man becomes weak and his senses becomes pacified. Therefore, he is less inclined to perform harmful, envious activities. In Kali Yuga, there is an unnecessary increase in economic development, resulting in more and more slaughterhouses, liquor shops, and brothels. Saintly persons can very easily associate with those who are poor, but it is difficult to approach the rich. Thus, a poverty-stricken person may very easily become disinterested in material desires and take to spiritual life. Narad then said, because Nalkuvera and Manigriva have become so fallen that they are already living like trees, being naked, they should actually get the bodies of trees. This will be a proper punishment. Still, by my mercy, they will have the remembrance of their past sinful activities. Moreover, by my special favor, after the expiry of 100 years of demigods, they will be able to see the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasudev, face to face, and thus revive their real position as devotees. Actually, Narad cursed the sons of Kuvera not simply to punish them, but to cure their disease of material blindness. After speaking, Narad returned to his ashram, which is known as Narayana Ashram, and Nalkuvera and Manigriva became twin Arjuna trees. Lord Krishna began slowly dragging the wooden grinding mortar to which he was bound, and while going, he said, although I have nothing to do with these sons of Kuvera, Devarshi Narad is my very dear devotee. Because he wanted me to come face to face with them, I must do so for their deliverance. From this it can be very well understood that if one seeks the favor of a pure devotee, it is much more effective than trying to achieve Lord Krishna's favor directly. Krishna entered between the two Arjuna trees, making the big mortar turn sideways and become stuck. With the rope tied around his belly, Krishna began to pull with such great force that the two trees became uprooted and fell to the ground with a great crashing sound. This pastime is known as Damodar Lila, and so one of Krishna's names is Damodar. Immediately two effulgent personalities came out from the trees, illuminating all directions. Bowing their heads, they offered obeisances to Krishna, and with folded hands they said, my dear Lord, you are the supreme controller, and it is you who exist before the creation. Therefore, who trapped inside a body of material qualities in this world can understand you. We simply offer our respectful obeisances unto you. Instead of trying to understand Krishna in detail, it is better to offer our respectful obeisances unto him. O Supreme Form, we are always servants of your servants, especially Narad Muni. Now give us permission to return to our home. It is by the grace of Narad Muni that we have been able to see you face to face. Henceforward, may all our words describe your pastimes, may our ears engage in listening to your glories, and may our hands and legs perform actions that are pleasing to you, and may our minds always think of your lotus feet. Still being bound by the ropes of the gopis, Krishna broadly smiled and replied, the great saint Narad is very merciful. By his curse, he has shown you the greatest favor. I knew of all these events from the very beginning. When a person is face to face with the sun, there is no longer any darkness. Similarly, when one is face to face with a devotee who is fully surrendered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he is no longer subject to material bondage. Nevertheless, persons who are too offensive will have to take some time before being rectified. O Nalkuvera and Manigriva, you may now return home because you desire to always be absorbed in my devotional service. That desire will be fulfilled and you will never again fall from that platform. The sons of Kuvera circumambulated Lord Krishna and offered obeisances, and after taking his permission, they departed.